guys, this is William, and I'm here with my wife, Amanda, and we're the Fort Foundation. Hey, so we're on our way to see Kimberly, and she's going to be telling us her testimony. I think we're here. Let's go check it out. Kimberly!
Yes. Hello, my name is Kimberly Wahpepah. My clients are Chachini, Shilinakaneda, Bashin, and Shiankiani. I am originally from Gallup, New Mexico. I am 42 years old. I am here to tell my story. I am a survivor advocate for human trafficking here in the state of New Mexico. I stepped into something where I wanted to help others. So I created, it's not an organization, it's not a business. It's to find missing people in the state of New Mexico and Pacific area where I'm living in here in Albuquerque, but also recognizing from our Navajo Nation missing persons, but also recognizing those that we have the highest rate going missing here in the state with indigenous women, men, and children. I grew up in a traditional and Christian home. My mother was the Christian side of having faith in the Lord and Jesus. My father was the traditional side, which is growing up the traditional ways and going to the medicine man. But when I was 7 years old, I was molested by a relative on my dad's side. I had so much stuff going on when I was little, ever since I was molested by a relative. And I did not know the Lord. And going back and forth, I seen a lot of abuse. After school, I used to help my grandma haul water, sometimes wood haul, even chop wood, and of course washing dishes, doing laundry, doing stuff at an early age. So with my family on both sides, it was confusing for me growing up. But when I was older, when all this stuff happened to me, I didn't realize what happened to me was how much it was going to affect me and how much it took a toll on me as an adult. I got into Satanism before I got trafficked. And I was bullied in high school. And I really had no one to hang out with. I grew up tomboy. My parents were strict, of course. Every morning, sometimes my dad had us running towards the east when the sun came up. And I had to run a half a mile every morning. And I was taught during the summer, which probably during the summer, of course, kids are probably enjoying summer break. I had to help my grandma. It was grandma's boot camp. It was hard because I had to help her. We grew the corn from the ground up. We had to pick around the corn. We had to collect the tutidine, which is like medicine coming from the corn, and we had to dust it in a little bowl early in the morning. And there's times on weekend we have to help her butcher early in the morning and it's like waking up, putting on your shoes, go straight to grandma and help her. And that was rough because I didn't really realize how much abuse I was under. It says one out of 4 Native children experience abuse in their lifetime. And that's true. I got to relationships with people who I didn't really have that guidance. I was hanging around girls who did spell books. I got into witchcraft.
How old were you at that time when you got into witchcraft?
Probably 13, 14. And there's this dark side of myself where I just lost who I was, my identity. It was very dark in my mind. I was angry for I don't know why I was angry, but I was just angry. And I was very mad at the world. I began to commit suicide. I cut my wrist. I grew up in a dysfunctional family who felt like I was a mistake. Growing up in a Navajo family, they always uplift the men and the boys more than the women. So we're not protected. And that's where I felt like I didn't belong in this family. I don't like it. And it felt like my mom and my family would take things out on me. When my aunties would tell me, what all you're going to do is lay on your back your whole life. You're never going to amount to anything. You're ugly, you're fat. Who's going to want you? No one's going to ever stay with you. I felt invisible. I felt like no one did not care. I felt like the world, I didn't want to be in this anymore. So at the same time, I tried to commit suicide again. But besides cutting my wrist, I went to the restroom and I started taking those pills. And when nothing happened to me, why am I still here? Why am I here? I don't want to be here. I felt already a slave. Like, that's how I felt, a slave. And I felt like no one did not understood me. I felt like they didn't know who it's like they didn't want me as a daughter. And I felt so I felt like I just wanted to end myself. I didn't care where I ended up. And I wanted a way out. But there was no way out. I was so mad at everything around me. So basically, I was just challenging God. And during this time, I had behavioral health issues, mental health issues. I was hearing voices. I was seeing shadows around me. So my father would take me to the medicine man, thinking it was the answer. But during this time, when my father would take me to the medicine man, he never told my mom. Because my mom literally would probably disagree, you know. When we went over there, I felt so uncomfortable. I did not want to go, honestly. Like, I did not like it. I felt bad vibes already. I was telling my dad I don't want to do this, and he wasn't listening. And this is the reason why I mention this, because this is a turning point of where all this stopped. You know, everything going to the traditional ways, going to seeking help through these, you know, medicine men and women. But it's traumatizing, but I hope it helps somebody out there. And during the years of all this stuff happening, I was sexually assaulted by a medicine man too. I've gone through so much subconsciously, sometimes I forget. But when we went to this medicine woman specifically, she pulled out a paper bag outside, and she told me that people wanted to kill me. And I literally laughed at her. And my dad's like, "Why are you laughing?" And I told her, I said, "I am living alone, divorced. My husband left me, and I had nothing to my name. I barely was making food. I just had my daughter who was like 6 months. Why are people wanting to kill me when I have nothing?" And that was the question I asked my dad. And he didn't know how to answer me. So after she went out again, and she brought another plastic bag with her. It was a those big brown paper bags that you hardly see now. And she pulled out a Barbie doll. And this what freaked me out was this Barbie doll looked exactly like me. And it had some type of animal on it, like the body. It had my hair, had other stuff. And I started to cry. I'm like, who would do this to somebody else? Like, I'm going through enough as it is inside. I got mad at my dad. I told him, no more. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm tired of it. So I told my mom what happened. She got mad at my dad, of course. And I got mad at my grandma for her pushing my dad to do this. And it didn't really help me. I just got worse. I went to the hospital. They said, you're back again? Okay, so we're going to give you some volume, because by then I was having anxiety attacks. I was having anxiety. I was hearing voices. I was on 6 different antidepressant pills at the time. I was worse, really bad. And I didn't know what I was. I didn't know. I just kept taking them thinking it was going to resolve the problem. But every time I would call 911 and they would shoot up volume inside my veins and I would just pass out. There were several times I remember I was in the hospital for overnight because they thought I was suicidal. So I basically was on suicide watch and was tied down and I couldn't move. And I was like, this is not what I asked for. I wanted help. This is not the help that I wanted. And it just felt like I just wanted to just forget about my pain inside. But it wasn't helping, just got worse inside. And I couldn't talk to anybody at the hospital because I don't know what they were thinking and people are so judgmental. And I felt like I was just losing my mind and going crazy. But my husband, when I was in high school, I was 15 and I met him. Newcomb High School. He introduced himself, of course. He was a popular guy in school. Every girl wanted him. I did not want him. I wanted my education. I wanted to go to culinary arts to be a chef. I wanted to, do the culinary arts thing. I wanted to be a chef and own my own restaurant. I had so much put in that of college and everything. And I was supposed to go to Scottsdale, Arizona. I was like, yes, I could finally get out of here. But it didn't happen. When I was 15, I was grooming where my family can only afford not the name brand clothes, but my parents always bought my clothes at Walmart. So, of course, like I said, I was always being teased at school because of what I wore. I wouldn't have name brand shoes. I felt like I was nothing, like I said, and he made me feel like I was something once he took me to get my hair cut, get my nails done, buy the newest fashion clothes. And this happened for a whole year. He started bringing gifts, but during those times, he was abusing me. By junior year, this trafficker started a relationship with me. His background was his family came from San Quentin prison. They were all heroin addicts. They were the ones joining in with the cartels. Very high, well-known. But I met his mom, and she was prostituting herself. And that's how I was introduced by trafficking. She would take us to the TA, the truck stops on the west side of Gallup. And I was pressured to do things I did not want to do. I was bullied by them, pressured, manipulated, and everything that I would get from somebody, they would take. And I would not have money in my pocket. It belonged to them. And I hated it. I was like, like a slave that I didn't really recognize it. And I didn't know how to get out. And during those times I was praying, always praying to God, get me out of this hell, get me out. I don't know if you can hear me, but I don't like where I'm at right now. But I felt like he wasn't listening. I felt like my prayers were never answered. And there's times when domestic violence would happen, and I remember fighting for my life in a parking lot. And we're in the back seat, and we started going at it because I was just trying to protect myself. And I remember just going so hard with the adrenaline because I just wanted to make sure nothing happened to me. But
now at this point, you didn't know that this man was a trafficker.
I did not know.
Okay.
And I didn't recognize it because I was too much into the grooming phase still. I mean, he was showering me with diamonds, necklaces, earrings, stuff I never thought I could have. He would take me to Zales, and he's like, pick whatever you want. And I didn't realize those gifts were really nothing, actually. And he would say, I want all the guys wanting you in high school. I want all the girls to be so jealous of you. But in his mind, I was the product. And he was getting me prepared for the trafficking and getting me out there as a new product. While I was enjoying thinking, okay, I have a boyfriend who's showering gifts, he does this, he was just getting me prepared for what's to come. And this was started it all. And he did leave me after high school. I was pregnant at the time. My senior year, I had my daughter after high school. I graduated with my daughter in my stomach. She was kicking me. And I know I didn't graduate alone. I graduated with her in my arms. And I was telling my daughter that the reason why I am mentioning this is because a lot of people are not recognizing human trafficking. And domestic violence is a way of how trafficking is being hidden. Also not recognizing what trafficking is. But it did not stop there. Years later, I was trafficked in Spokane, Washington. Ended up being in shelters again, homeless on the streets in Spokane. One of my friends who was on probation, I ended up friending her. I forgot how. And that's how I was introduced to another trafficker that introduced me to the porn industry. Now, when I was introduced to this, the informality of how things are brought up was, hey, you want to make some money? Because I was already homeless. I had no support. I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I was already in a vulnerable situation. And come to find out that this guy who was connected with had like an escorting business too. My age at the time, I think I can remember between 25 around in my 20s. I can't really remember, but I was young and I was trafficked a lot. Being in Spokane, Washington. Introduced to the petition, there was drugs again, there was weapons, there was everything again. So I was introduced to a lot of cartels on the street, and when I first started being on the street, I was introduced to this other cartel who everybody knew. The shootings were coming from him, because there's a neighborhood where shootings are always happening, and it was from him. And I remember him going to his house, and he wanted to tie me to the bed. He said he wasn't gonna let me go. And I remember running out of the house without my shoes, and I told him I was just going to the bathroom. I took off. But it didn't stop there. And that's how I got introduced to these two traffickers. And they told me that They didn't really recognize what type of race I was. They just know that I was the hottest thing in the market, is what they told me. And at that time, doing the porn and everything, I knew that it was wrong, or something was, like I said, it's always wrong. But it was continually happening. I was forced to do a girl, and it was hard. I didn't want to do it. And I knew that wasn't right. But I felt like this is the only way I had to get home and get out of here, out of state, to make money. But it just got worse. I was introduced to people who were strippers, escorting, everything in that industry. And it was, my identity was still erased. Like, I was still trying to figure out who I was. And how I got out of it was, my phone at the time was, they would track it. I had to turn off my phone and go into a day shelter. They sent me a bus ticket. They gave me food, and that's how I got home, back to Gallup. And prior to that, 3 days later, I let it die, and I hammered it. I got a new phone. It took me a while to get a new phone, but I lost contact with all of that stuff. But the biggest thing that haunts me is that the videos that we have done, and it still haunts me to this day, because it's part of my past. I cannot take it back. I was trafficked in New York City, and this is when I was 30 years old. I met a guy in Farmington, New Mexico. This is a guy who really tried to do me wrong, domestic violence again. He physically assaulted me, hurt me, and his family catered to him, and he really abused me. And my worth was so low, and I just wanted to scream and cry and leave, but I couldn't do anything because I was in a bigger city, and walking half a mile to the bridge to hustle water bottles like this, and we were selling it for close to like $8 at the time, or maybe 10, depending on the days. But we would sell out sometimes. We'd sell out a lot, and what we did with the money was, it would used to feed us, because there was a Burger King when you get off Brooklyn Bridge. There's a Burger King and McDonald's. And his friend, we were staying with his friend who's from El Salvador, and he had a business too. And when he heard the abuse that was going on in this house, and he tried to be the savior, he sexually assaulted me in this vulnerable situation with just domestic violence. And he would tell me, I heard him hitting you, I heard him doing this, he should not be treating you. But he took his advantage, and he told me if I wanted to get home, I had to sleep with him. I just sat there like, what? And I felt like I didn't have any worth, and I was still mad at God, because I felt like He still wasn't answering my prayers. I was mad at God, because I had no worth in me. I felt like everything He took out of me, and everything, and I felt so empty inside. Depression. I couldn't kill myself. I was like, just continuing being this product that they wanted me to be. They didn't care about my feelings or how I was feeling inside. But it felt like every time I would go get help or run away, somebody was always lurking, trying to get me. And I was sexually assaulted again by another guy, African American, in Brooklyn. I had to take off again from him, and he was an older man. He wanted to keep me there again. And I got lost in Brooklyn when I made my way home. But successfully, I did get home. And I ended up going back with he is my ex right now, but with him at the time. And when we came back to Farmington, that's when Morby started. I just wanted out. And he abducted me in Gallup. My son's dad at the time was there with me, and I was living at NCI, which is a shelter and also a toxic detox center. where they take, those that are drinking alcohol, and let them stay there for 72 hours. But it was home for me. And I remember walking back, because we only had to come back a certain time, but it was after 4. We're on foot, walking by the jail, and that's when he pulled up in his truck. He tried to abduct me. And my son's dad saved my life that day. And NCI director too. And I'm so happy that they were there and they were protecting me. And that's not the person I was abducted to. I was abducted to Farmington also, because going through a lifetime of violence, domestic violence, it's hard to break the cycle. It's hard to recognize it, especially when you have no support. So I was abducted by a non-native Pakistan or some type of tribe, some type of race. He tried to hit me unconsciously and almost passed out too on the driver's side. I ended up escaping again. I remember getting on the phone with dispatch and yelling and screaming, and he took off. And I'm not sure if he was arrested or charged. But I've been through a lot of my life. And the reason why I believe in Jesus is because, as you can see, it said God is a jealous God. He doesn't want nobody before him or anybody, anything. Not even the medicine man, not even this world that we call traditionally Mother Earth and Father Sky, but who is ruling the world right now is Satan. So we don't go to man for help, we go to Jesus.
So tell me about that moment, that day that you finally turned to Jesus.
I finally turned to Jesus because he's the one that seen me when I felt I was invisible. He's the one that heard my prayers, and he all made a way when I needed to escape. He was listening to my cries. He was with me in my darkest times, even when I tried to commit suicide. I did not really realize that God was already preparing a path for me of what I was going to do now and what I'm doing now. And I realize now that he was already making a way for me at the time of these bad times. Of course, he will turn the bad things around for his glory, and I see that now. He turned my dad, what he was doing, into glory, because my dad had this business, and he was like, okay, go help at the flea market. Let's go help. Work on talking to people. And I did not like that. He turned up for his glory, because I was never an outgoing person. The anxiety, he turned up for his glory, because I was so quiet in class. I was not an outgoing person. I didn't like who I was. I felt like I was not worth it. Anything on this earth. And God seen me, God showed me my worth. He showed me and he spoke to me. And he said, Kimberly, you are not for sale, because I died on the cross for you already. You don't need to be in a relationship where you're beaten, where you're physically beaten and strangled, where a man says he loves you, but he really does not. I realized that in my life, because all the people I have been with in my past, all the men that's been in my life, always failed and left me. My father, I was literally mad at men because my father was not there. I was using men as a crutch because my father was not there. I was trying to get approval from our own people and not from God. Didn't know, but yet I experienced this firsthand. But when I came literally my life to Christ, God says, I put a crown on your head. You didn't see it at the time, but it's there. I created you in my own image. And that is who you are. That's how much you're worth. Your blood My blood runs in your veins. You have all authority over the darkness, which you have overcome, and I helped you overcome that because you believed in me. And now the Lord, I know for a fact that God turns things around for His glory, but I know that God's always there with us, even in our hard times. I turned to Christ because not even the medicine man would not help me. Not even no antidepressant that would help me. Not even being a Satanist would help me. But when the Lord Jesus came in my life, which was already sowed in me, into this, God brought me out of trafficking. Because He said, God's children are not for sale. Because He died on the cross. And I'm not for sale. This whole time I believed in Satan's lies in my head and what other people, how Satan was using my own family and others around me, thinking I was worthless and nothing. But through it all, God turned all those ashes for His glory, His beauty, everything. He put a crown on my head. He gave me my identity, my true identity, which is in Him, which is the woman of God, which is in Esther, which is those of women in the Bible who fought, who weren't recognized, who were prostitutes. But God used them for His glory. I'm sitting here thinking today, right now, that maybe your voice is not important. Let me tell you something that I learned, that someone told me. This person told me and said, you may think that you don't have a voice right now. You may think that no one hears you. But there's someone out there that you're speaking for that needs your voice out there. And you're speaking for them. That's how our voices are so important. But when God is fighting for you and fighting your battles, it's more powerful and rewarding. But it's not about the works. It's not about recognition. It's about having them believe in the Lord, coming to Christ, because God hears them. And God sent me to help. And then it goes for everybody in their testimony too. Because we're all being used by God, whether we like it or not. Whether if we're sitting here feeling depression, anxiety, and we're in a bad relationship, I'm going to tell you that there is resources out there though. Yes, it takes millions of times for us to stop going back, especially in domestic violence. But also know that God said physically, mentally, and spiritually that you're not worth in a relationship that way. Know your worth in the Lord and know the worth and what God has in store for you. And don't ever settle for less and what Satan offers you. Even like it says in the Bible, for a bowl of soup. Don't sell yourself short for Him because it's not worth it. I look back at it now and realize I made a lot of bad decisions in my life. Been to the wrong relationship, and now that I recognize my triggers and traumas, because Satan doesn't want us to heal our traumas, nor be in the front lines of our families to heal our family traumas, because we're at the front lines standing up. Being the front lines for Christ. Also being the lights for our families. Because we want them to be saved too. I didn't realize what God was doing in my life until now, or how many years now, how much it really meant to me. But now I realize God was literally standing there listening to my prayer. And I literally did not see it. I did not see Him, but every time I would pray to escape, He would always make a way. Provide food, provide the stuff. But, I'm just saying that you matter, and it doesn't matter what the world says about you. It doesn't matter what the person says aside of you or your family. Remember, you're only doing this for an audience of one, which is Jesus. Jesus Christ loves you, created you in His own image, to be a woman of God, to be a woman to stand up for your family, your household, and your children. to be a praying mom, to be a praying sister, to not giving up on your family, but also thanking God for even the dishes you wash, even dumping the trash. We take that very lightly sometimes, even a roof over your head. But when you're fighting for your family, you're fighting for a husband that worships the Lord as much as you do. You're fighting for a man of God who would stand beside you and equip you with Ephesians 6 to have the armor of God. But you pray for him because God is in order. God is a God of order. He wants things in his order. We are the backbone and we are important. We make this household run, but we can also do things that God has gifted us to. So know that you're important because you matter, and don't think that your life doesn't matter right now, or valid, or your voice. But use that voice in a mighty way, because Jesus, there's power in his name, in Jesus. Saying his name. There is power saying, in the name of Jesus, by the blood of Jesus, I give you the authority over these demons, these scorpions and snakes, like it says in Psalms 91, over your household and over yourself. And I'm telling you right now, you would see God manifest in your life, putting him first. The foundation is him first. I did not know, but now I know. So I thank God for what he has given me as I sit here today, alive. When I could have been dead, I could have been dead those times I committed suicide. I could have been dead when I was strangled, domestic violence, or a cardiac arrest, but I'm still here. Because he said I still have a mission. Hope to encourage others out there, just continue to speak out. Because speaking out is also saying, you know what, Satan, I had enough. I want healing too. I have a voice, because the whole time back then, I didn't have a voice because Satan had me silenced. Satan didn't want me to speak in the name of Jesus because he knew those demons would flee. He knew that God had authority, but I did not know. I wasn't really equipped. But as I be equipped now is the time God is using me. Now I report traffickers. Now I report the trap houses. Now I help those that were trafficked, sex workers, escorts, you name it. Because most of us have a story. We don't really tell it because we're too ashamed what people are wanting to say, or how they would look at us, or judgmental. And the world looks at us as still as victims, but that's how Satan wants us to continue thinking.